Let's play the Sicilian, and knight c3 doesn't mean that white really wants to play the close Sicilian. Sometimes white switches to f4, and this is a Grand Prix attack. Let's keep the position flexible, so I play g6. What he can do as well is playing knight f3 and playing some kind of open Sicilian. I think this is also one of the best choices what he can do, but normally you don't play knight f3 if you start with knight c3. But he does. I think this is a good choice. So I expect him to play d4 now. This is, however, very strange. What does his knight want to do here? If he wants to play d4, he could have played it directly. And okay, let's block the d4 squares once for all. I have a weakness here on d5, but then you should normally move the knight to c3 and d5, so he wasted a lot of time. And I want to control here the d4 square, and I can control d4 squares by many pieces. The bishop is aiming at d4, the knight, so I'm quite happy here. He attacks, so if somebody attacks you, try to crack out the center if it works. I mean, you cannot win just by attacking with one rook. He needs more pieces, and I think I have enough resources to defend my position, so this shouldn't be a problem. Maybe he plays something like queen d2. Yeah, I'm happy to exchange pieces now, because I think this bishop is stronger than the bishop here. And let's play f4, because afterwards we exchange the bishops here, and yeah, the whole plan I have is to try to get into the endgame, because if you look at this bishop, he's more or less a pawn. It's just defending his own pawns here, and my bishop is a bit stronger. I can attack here, and this is what I will do now, and put pressure on the white pieces. What I can try to do as well is cracking up here the king side. But I will prepare it, and let's move the queen to f6 first. And now I can choose if I really want to fight for the h file, which is rather easy, and I think I should do this. And playing rook h1 afterwards, it looks a little bit nasty for white. Okay, but the rook feels really comfortable here on this square, and what I try to do now is playing g4, maybe g3 afterwards, and okay, he tried to play rook h1 maybe. I want to avoid this. Put pressure on g3, but also threatening something like g4 later on. We can also try now to switch plans and play on the queen side, because I really don't want to help him a lot by playing g4. So let's first retreat the king out of this line here. But I think now it's a good time. he wants to play queen b4. Okay, let's play b6 first. That's a good thing in the position I have more space. And I think now it's a good time to play g4. Because this pawn is under attack. The rook needs to stay here. The queen can't move because I always can play rook g2 here with a check. And here, the only move that I don't really like is him playing queen b4. Is a5 good? I think I like a5 at the moment, just to reduce the chances of him playing on this on the queen side. Okay, but now I can try to put more pressure here on this pawn. He can't take here because I can take with check, and afterwards I can try to penetrate here on g3 first or on e3. I like e3 more, and then I will attack d3. Yeah, but this just loses the rook on g1, right? And I mean the queen as well. Okay, let's take here, and then here, and then I'm threatening mate.
White resigns.
Okay, I think the whole game shows a bit the importance of piece activity. Just look at this position. The pieces of white are very, very passive. This rook's just looking at his own pawn here on g2, and they don't do that much. Whereas this rook attacks the pawn. This pawn can't move because then the queen would be hanging. This rook is very strong here on e3. It's attacking d3, threatens to go to e2. Yeah, this is already a threat here to play rook e2, taking here on g2 as well, attacking the queen. So my queen is protecting e2, attacking g2. So all the pieces are quite active. So something went very, very wrong with the white setup here at this position as well. You can see that most of black's pieces here in this position are very active. I totally control the h file. This is the only open file, whereas this rook isn't in the game at all. The king is blocking the queen. The bishop cannot move. It's just to f1. Whereas look at this bishop. Has a lot of squares and is attacking d3 as well. And we always can play something like g4 later on to open up the position. So piece activation. And I think what you need to do then is, if you want to attack, and this is what white did, why does he exchange all his good pieces so quickly? At the moment, it seems like white is much better, and maybe he is, yeah, because he has the open file. He can weaken my king position, but he needs to play more active. And what he does now is just exchanging his best pieces. Yeah, the knights are strong, but now all the knights are gone in history. And here at the end, this move is just to get rid of this bishop, because afterwards my pawns are on black squares, and this bishop is not good anymore. And I'm aiming for an endgame. I think the bishop here is better than the bishop on f1. And here already I think the position gets better for black. So keep your pieces active and try to avoid exchange your good pieces.